Okay, part 2, Isanti Arena, Minnesota Owls versus the Northern Lights. Cameron Voss is the man we're watching here. I haven't said it yet, but I'm going to say that this was a great game. It was just a beautiful night of hockey this Friday night, February 26th. A lot of action going on everywhere, from some district tournaments wrapping up at the youth level all the way up to Olympic action. Friday was a big day where the U.S. pumped Finland 6-1 in the Olympics. I got one of the funniest text messages I'd seen in a while, so I think I'm going to share that coming up. Who knows, we may have a little duker coming up with a little interesting side light to it too. Might, I don't know, I'm just speculating. So stay at the edge of your seats, sports fans. I will just say this would be a game that would be tragic if one of the officials fell asleep at any point, had a little lull, had a little mental meltdown, called an icing that wasn't an icing, you know, just snoozed on an offsides, missed a chance where a goalie, he thought the goalie had the puck frozen, but it's sitting next to him, whistle blows and the guy bangs it home. And it's a good cover there by Mr. Bradshaw. If any of those things were happening in this game, it would be tragic. And that's why when it happens to you at any other time, that's your practice. Hopefully you're not doing it in the game. Like I always use the analogy, you play like you practice. Okay? If you've been practicing doing all the little things, being very much keeping yourself to a high standard, you will be prepared for a game like this. And you will definitely eliminate, or at the bare minimum, just tiny minimalize anytime you may have a mental slip-up, mental meltdown, or fall asleep. The tragedy of it all. I talk about, when I see games, and they could be viewed in some people's minds as lesser games, where they will do something tragic and they don't see it as a big deal. Just totally escapes my mind anyway. Where I'm like, man, are you kidding me? You just affected an outcome of a game. And, I don't know. Then again, this is coming from a guy who has fretted about a botched call for 30 days after it still happened. Tell you what, you talk to all those upper level guys, that is a reality of the business. You talk to WCHA guys here in our backyard, that is a reality of the business, that you will dwell, guys will dwell on something for long periods of time. They don't go home, go to sleep and shrug it off. It's also a reality of the business for guys who will go out and really hit the road, trying to make their way up through the minors and going after the dream of the NHL. There's a lot of alone time out there on the freeway that you got, a lot of windshield time to just think to yourself, and when you start rattling stuff off the corners of your mind, believe it or not, it has caused a few guys to crack psychologically. And I'm talking almost tragic type of meltdowns. So, be Stay aware, be vigilant, and most of all, be prepared. What can you do to avoid that? Be prepared. Speaking of being prepared, it just makes me think while action's racing up and down the ice here. I remember last year sitting with a guy who's a full-time guy in the junior program. Just got done working a game in Hudson, and we're just talking life and hockey and how to get it to where you want to go and everything else. And I happened to get a phone call from Brian Toole, who spent 5 years in the East Coast League. Prior to that, he spent 2 years. Was it 2 years? Yeah, 2 years in the USHL, or the junior program. Spent 1 year out in Montana. Anyway, so that's 7 years of chasing the dream. Got a cup of coffee in the American League, and that was it. Well, his advice, I said, hey, I got so-and-so sitting here, wants to pursue the same path you did. Any advice? If you could share one thing, what would it be? And he just said, you've got to be ready to go every night. Bar none. You have got to be ready to go. And he wasn't talking about skipping rope, doing Hindu squats. That's all the stuff that helps you stay in the game physically, so your mind is sharp. He's talking about mentally. Be prepared, ready to rock and roll. No, it's every whistle. Bam. Stink on poop. It's a done deal. It's not even a question. It's the lowest common denominator. No, it's not the lowest common. It's the highest common, but it's the expectation every time. Bust butt. Alright, if I got a peek at the clock here, we're under 2 minutes to go in this period. I gotta keep my eye on the time here. It's 7:45. Everything's A-okay. All systems are go. Guarantee his partner's covered that. Oh, he's going in for the 8 seconds. It's less. And we got both lines and blowing whistles. You guys know how I like whistles at the buzzer too, because the buzzer's not always reliable. It's going to be that one time out of 500. So, let me see here. I got to make a decision. These guys are giving lumps. Okay, so you give lumps to each other, and we're going to stop it right there. Okay? So, hey, don't be afraid to get... Look around, that's what we call it. Give me some lumps, man. Fist bumps and everything else. So, it's a teamwork bonding thing. We're going to wrap up this part. Stay tuned.